In this video, part 3, I'm going to do, this is on Rumble before I put it on YouTube. 3 days ago, I put this video up right here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the facade that I talk about there, going, a little facade action going on, and it's more decorative. That's in part, this is part 1 of the video on YouTube. But I talk about this here, the facade, in this video, as you might have seen just a few minutes ago in the video, and now I'm going to do part 3. So here in this first video, when I talk about the floors being closed off, I reveal that through extrapolation that they must be really talking about the floors above this, meaning the roof line. And here, I'll take it from here in this video, and I'll tie us into video 3. But let's recap this part.
What's 18, 19, and 20, why this building is still open. Think about 18, 19, and 20 when they add those 3 together. And the engineers out there, you should be able to probably guess or speculate highly what's where the issue is, which floor the issue's on.
Above those is what I'm saying. Now, I think I segue into the...
What kind of inspections are happening inside the complex now with possible...
It says, now with possible structural problems from the top floor. So isn't this building beautiful? Look at it. So again, we have this system here. But they have a open flying deck here.
Okay, and that's where we're going to run into the issues by the flying deck. Now it's going to be either this one, very critical, this one, or this one. I want you to notice the load path. I'm going to tie this into the 3rd video, but it's not on this side because we see the generator, the AC equipment, the cooling, heating equipment up top right there, and this is the section. I'm going to guess that this might be it here. Kind of mid-span, isn't it? I'm going to still work on this with you, but the fractures are very interesting, but not, because we have some load transfers here. Let me just dive into it a little bit here. So I'm going to do this 1, 2, and 3, and these will be this guy, and this guy. So this appears to be their main cross bracing. As you can see here, it's supported here on a column. And then they ran it this way, and maybe we have columns underneath each one of these. And then it appears to be a column here. I don't know where the next column is, but we're going to look for fractures. Wow, they're very interesting fractures, 2-directional. So it's like the beam is doing that, fracturing in 2 directions. This overhang beam. Looking at it like almost like a twisting action, how much of a cantilever do they use here from this back one? And the load transfer, they didn't show that every last one of these are fracturing. So remember, I have something called intercepting loads. It's like a car being on all 4 tires, and then you put a jack underneath the car and you jack up the car. Well, you intercepted the tire loading onto the jack at that point. We're looking at a beam that's intercepting loads. Also, I thought of steel that's not in a stirrup capacity. Maybe they did their spacing too far apart on that one. I said maybe they used Chinese steel, but that's easy enough to be able to check with that. Interesting. I finished off the video number 3, the CBS video, I think, with the engineer there, and he states that maybe it's a steel issue. So I stated that before I watched the video to Charles. Charles is an engineer here that we banter back and forth with over the phone. He sent me this link for number 3 after he saw my Rumble channel on it. So that's why you're getting all 3 transferred to YouTube at this point, because now it's getting interesting with revealing data. This is a decorative facade, so they can remove it. They can start by removing it, taking the load off, and go from there. But I'm going to come back to this, but let's circle back into the video.
All right, so looks like they put some utilities up here.
And that's exactly what the engineer calls. He says the utilities are up there. All right, they're hanging on a secondary deck, and this is like presents as like all of this is almost just decorative. That you could pull every last piece of this off down to the columns, and it would be no harm, no foul. You would have the ugly exposure of the skyline of the units that people like to hide exposed, and maybe it would be a service issue, and you'd have to put a railing up there to protect workers. But you could remove a lot of this. Now, what will the repair be? It might include post-tensioning from one end of the structure to the next on all of this, just post-tensioning. Exteriorly post-tensioning everything to tighten it all up, and then it's going to take forever monitoring. It would be on a program.
And this might be some window washing equipment, something of that nature.
Window washing equipment. This turns out it's just really decorative. You can pull it the hell down.
Not sure the design. I didn't dive into it that much yet. I'm just sharing with you.
Oh, this is video one.
Just a couple minutes ago that I got it. I'm sharing with you now. So we look, is it out of plumb? Is the top floors 18, 19, and 20? So where does that start, actually? So this is 20, this is 19, and that's 18, and these are construction floors. These floors here are holding utilities. I mean, that floor. When I said these floors, I was bouncing up there also. My guess that these are utility type flooring, that one there. So, teasing, it's subsidence.
Okay.
Clearly, this is subsidence. It came in from over here.
All right, let me pause it. Let me scrub the video.
It looks like, I don't know, this.
And get you to the...
And group.
Okay, here I'm going to talk about the panel.
And it does go down to the ground.
I'm going to talk about
we
the
know
panels
down there's
in
a
just
couple
moment.
of cross members.
And these are
Okay.
panels.
Looking at it's not an earthquake zone, so, but nevertheless still has significant height on it. And
Talk about the panels next.
this looks like a I don't know if it's a driver type system,
Oh, yeah.
or if these are just panels that are screwed on, because I see this nice seam. I'm looking at the colorations. It could be panelized and anchored on, or it could be a drive-it where it's like a stucco, which would be a super expensive product, especially insuring-wise.
So, yeah, I went with panels.
Okay, that took long enough. I finally found it. Yeah, there's the cranes up and everything else. It's plate slab construction. Yep, plate slab construction, concrete with the columns.
Okay.
All right, plate slab.
All right, so it's a panel system. Now let's look at the structure without the panels on it. So the panels are here. These 4-foot panels, 2 foot by 4 foot beams, and this panelized system out here. Clearly, they can take the panels off, but there's without the panel weight. Just thinking about the this beam system. It comes up kind of short. They oversized it, and so the panel's sort of like that. I think it's oversized like that. This little... Or did I get that the wrong direction, and the panel's like that? I'm going to look. We'll know in just a moment when I go back to it. I think I recall it like that. It's kind of fun to see if my brain recalled it correctly. Correct? It'd be fun. So it is panelized. And now we're looking at what the structure is, what they're going to have issues with, what they are having issues with. And again, we have this structure going across here. These are the structures going across here to hold the outer wall. And then the back, so an cantilever, and the columns are internal. So let's put a column here. And there's multiple columns. All right, so let's do one more color here. And then there's this other guy coming across. And then the one that's fractured is between, so it's here. Let's see if I can get by the XC unit. So it would be there. It might be even this one, which would be very telling because it's the one that's continuous. And then we have these to worry about also. See how they're continuous across? I think it's this one that they're looking at. I don't remember seeing AC units behind it when the drone or whatever, however they took it, helicopter shots. But there was nothing over here. So we don't have the same structure. They're not indicating that there's the same mirrored structural error on this side. But there's a structure error on this side, and yet they appear to be of the same profile type, the same design type, left and right. With the exception, the AC units are over here. Are they anchored to this concrete? Are they anchored to the floor, this floor? They anchored to the floor down here, and how much does that transfer the load, if any, to these top cross members? I don't know yet. I'm going to, I'm leaving it open to look, to eliminate, to say no. I like to cross that box off just theoretically, just saying, well, why the hell, they didn't, any. So what you're looking for is any hangers. Did they use any hangers from these beams onto anything to support the AC units? Anything. Did they use any bracing? And then put the AC units over here. Is there any bracing supporting these AC units? Because we have nothing indicated on this side of the structure, but on this side of the structure, we have some issues. Over there are the AC units again. I want to know how they're anchored. Perhaps they can change the load path of that if it is anchored as a hanger type system into the beam. Yeah, you can probably pick on some steel, but what are the odds that they bought some Chinese steel? Nobody's really that dumb anymore buying that, falling for that. It's a government building, so the contract would have allowed only a little bit of deviation of buying foreign steel. Since it's a government building with government funds, I mean, it should have that in there. And what are the odds that they only bought this much? What I'm holding out on you is that I know that this has a history, which that the current news did not report on this, but this had a history of structural issues during the build, that the contractor said that the load path is wrong, basically. And I don't know exactly where it is, but the load path is wrong, and they had to get engineering in there, and they wanted some more money, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to remedy this. Did it have anything to do with this section here, or was it somewhere else? Safety issue, you can't count this as a safe building, all right? You can't count this danger overhead as a safe building. Yeah, it looks stable now. The cracks aren't opening up. But that's not the way that works, is it? When a failure happens, it can be acute, meaning sudden. And now we got people down here that are just going off to the graveyard. This should be cordoned off and not considered safe at this time, in my opinion, period. I mean, would you, if it's so safe, would the engineer stand underneath of it right here? Would they just stay there? They're sending the contractors to do it. But would the engineers stand there? Would the judges come up there and like to take a look? Oh, I'm scared of heights all of a sudden. Is it open? If it's so safe, then why close off these floors? If it's so safe. This is not safe until it's determined why. So it's sort of like the FIU bridge collapse, where they said, yeah, you know what? We can keep the traffic going while we still figure this out. If you don't know why, it's not safe. Close the fucking building. Well, I've already used up my one time to look at this page, so you guys can look at it now. It's look up Broward runs into big problems with courthouse, and you'll be able to read more of the article that I can't get hold of. But it was published 2012 by Kevin Gale. There's a few other articles I no longer have access to. You might also be able to go to the Construction Journal. You see that there, and you look up this courthouse, and you'll see the engineer contractors and also some arguments about the money and what structural problems were going on. Not clear exactly where the structural problems were, and fire rating issues, sprinkler systems. So it's kind of really got me. Okay, look at this photograph real quickly. The floor is a beam with a beam and beam construction. Let me see if I can hold the page a bit before it can flash it up. Yeah, so let me show you what that looks like. So the floor beams went this direction, supported by a single floor beam going this direction, and then tying into the column area. So this one is mostly loaded as presented, and then it's a slab construction. I don't know which floor that's on. I don't know if it's the parking garage or whatever the hell it is. So this is showing that floor. I mean that floor in this article. So hell, they could have taken it from anywhere, but just so take it with a grain of salt. But that's an issue. But I did see where they did the cantilever outside of here in a much larger capacity beam than what's here. I'm like, wow, that looks like an imbalance to me, but let's go from there. So let's dive into the article here. The news here on this. Oops.
Developing now, we're getting our first look at the cracks at the Broward courthouse. Several floors of the courthouse have been closed as a precaution.
Several floors. You know, that's again not because of precaution, as she may state, but because what are they precautioning? They're allowed to collapse down 3 floors. Now, my guess is they're not giving them access to the support structure, showing the scaffolding is going down floor to floor to floor, using pretty much a 3-4 rule on new construction. So they're thinking of distributing a load on 3 floors. You know, who says that will work? You know, who says that's going to work? Obviously, the first floor that will take most of the load, depending on how it works, how the scaffolding is lined up. But the first floor will be the last floor down, depending on how it lines up. They're hoping that each floor distributes a little bit of a load more, a little bit more, a little more. Making them all interact the same, all 3 floors interact the same with the same loading above. Trying to distribute, let's say 100 pounds up top, trying to distribute it on, taking the people load off the structure, but it's concentrated. It's a local area, and trying to distribute it down to 2 other floors. Let's go.
Because of those cracks. Local 10's Roy Ramos is in Fort Lauderdale with what the Public Works Director is saying about all of this. Roy.
Okay.
Nicole, yeah, it was staff members that first discovered the cracks and brought it to the attention of engineers. Well, it was engineers who then wanted to take a closer look at the top of the building you're looking at right here, and what they saw.
All right, so he's stating that and the top of the building, we're going to be in this section over here. Remember, I got to pause and narrate, or the channel will try to claim that I took too much of their information. But he is the news, and I am the news. I'm just sharing it.
Concerning enough to get a second opinion. 2 foot.
So, let's let him state his 2 foot.
By 4 foot.
2 foot by 4 foot. All right, so we're talking about these guys here, right? No, it's this cross member in here that we're talking about. These guys right there. 2 foot by 4 foot. There's the AC units, I believe, back here. I don't know. I guess they use a drone here. They couldn't use a helicopter to go down lower. They got across the street. Let's see.
Concrete that extends 17 feet out from the Broward County Courthouse.
All right, extends 17 feet out. Remember that I talked about in a previous video that we could see these louvers, and I said that maybe that's anchors back here. Anchors are on the wall where they would climb down. Well, they actually use a rope protection, and it would be too far away from the building for them to do that unless they had a way to come back and then stay next to the wall. So that doesn't really work for me. So these are some type of decorative lighting. All right, so now we see the workmen up here. Initially, I thought you can get through here. I thought it was something that you can panelize or go through. No way that you're going through there. There's another worker there. Hard hat on. And I guess so he walks up there. It's okay. But the fractures, I think these are the fractures here. Here's the AC unit, the units. There's another one here. So there is one behind it. And then we go here. Focusing on that there, it looks like it's open. So it looks like it's separating from the engagement of this cross beam here. Is this separating? I don't know what's going on there. Is this separating? It doesn't appear so. So remember I talked about intercepting loads. I think that this one in the middle is doing what I call intercepting a load. It intercepted a load of these guys. Ironically, you'd want to check to make sure this is plumb. There's a worker out here. You want to make sure these are plumb, and that these are plumb, that no rotation is taking place. You want to make sure all of this, you guys to do basic and as-built right now to see how, so you can get a profile of everything. They're sort of just looking at it now and trying to throw shit at it. They should have survey equipment up here, surveying it, getting real markers of it, not just saying, okay, this is square because there's no crack there. It may not be true. This one here, this line might not be a true line. This could actually be curved a bit. You know, and this one's sticking out further. It could be profiled, if you will. Let me do that. Profiling a bit. Did they put the rebar going across here? Is it going all the way across into here? How much engagement? I don't see him up there with any rebar sounding equipment. I see this guy's hands are empty. He's by himself, so there's no teamwork there. This one's over here just holding on, just observing, watching. No teamwork there. This one's down here maybe doing something. But this one may be processing information, trying to figure out what's going on with his back turned to it. But there's no, there should be data collection now. Not just saying, I see a crack. How can you save it? Why is it fracturing in such a way? Wait till you see these fractures. They're very interesting in a two-directional way.
With visible, large.
Okay. Again, I don't know what this guy is down here. All right, there's the worker out here. I want to have a little fun with that. He's hanging from a sky hook. All right, so these cantilevers, they can just remove them.
Cracks. These pictures show.
Okay, there we go. Let me go back one.
Courthouse with visible large cracks.
Okay, so we see this is the curtain wall that we were looking through with the image, that curtain, this thing, the grids. These are substantial? Are they load bearing? It's underneath there. It'd be nice if it was out here, because then we could see if it deflected it, then we'd be able to tell. But right now, we don't know if this is under compression or not. This one, further down, it might be just happen to be underneath each one. Are they load bearing? Are they intercepting the load and you're getting a fracture like that? These are, you guys commonly know them as shear fractures. If you put your shear links, your stirrups back in here, though, these are going through the stirrups. I did the spacing like that. Are these stirrups spaced, are they spaced too largely in the middle? Are the stirrup spacing too far? The other thing I observe, I believe I'm looking at efflorescence right here. It's a lot of water damage. A lot of water damage. And accelerated water damage, which makes me now think of concrete mix. The concrete mix was because it's only 2017 mix. This is pretty damn soon. 5 years, and you're getting this much efflorescence. That's pretty aggressive. So this fracture happened, not today. This fracture happened some time ago. And the efflorescence took some time to build up. And it's a significant amount of water. It's a constant amount of water to do this efflorescence, along with your mix design being shit. So efflorescence is key here. Efflorescence is key to the problem here. So we have a weak design mix. You know, the guy wanted to reach for the rebar. I can reach for the concrete in this one. Just if you're going to reach, you got to check everything. Yeah, I'd tear the shit off if I were them. This is not worth the risk. You can see the panel, the decorative panel, is significantly higher than this cantilever box detail that they cantilever out. And then they add this detail out here anchored in panels. Let's just do that for anchors. And that's this part right here. Remove that, and then hell, you can start chopping it, you know, crane it back. You're taking the loads off. You might be able to use the distribution of the larger columns to set up some type of crane system to bring it down, or just get a crane out there and remove them. But they're probably just going to post tension this. But without, you need to know, you need core samples. You need to resolve this efflorescence issue. You need to now have a maintenance painting program for this to make sure that now you're going to use a elastomeric paint. Now you're going to hide the fractures. You'll never see them until there's nothing but problems later on. Get rid of this shit is all I'm saying. Trash can it. So let's just give you a little cursor course there, a little cursor on this one. Efflorescence is the appearance of white salt deposits on near the surface of the concrete, causing a change in appearance. It's more than that. It has an expansive ability, expanding it. It occurs when salts in the concrete or groundwater is deposited as an unattractive white powder or stain on the surface. It's not just unattractive, it expands, it can burst things apart. It's serious. So here I did a video, and I guess I have to add the word efflorescence to it in the title, but it's called ASR, alkali silica reaction. Tyler Lay here asked me, could he use my content? He likes it, so you let him use it there. He put it in his video also, but because it's such a great example of ASR. This is going to be an exterior. This is at a building with the exterior, same column. It's going to be, this is the column, this base. And this is the ASR part. Then we're going to step inside a doorway, same base, and all of a sudden you're going to see nothing. This is all water related. The reaction is causing this alkali silica reaction. And you get your paste coming out. Let's see. So here's ASR related to water penetration causing all the expansion. You can see the expansion here, expansion, and then you can see the fine white outlines. And over here too, it's raining out, so I'm going to try to be fast with this, and I'm going to show you something else. So you see the fine white lines here. But what's so cool is though, this one is got a sister next to it, inside. Rain on this side, no rain on this side, and you can see that the concrete looks beautiful. So, just want to share with you guys, ASR, water's being the cause of the acting influence. This is why it's so important that water, the salts are indicating that you're getting water penetration there, and let's go on with that video.
Happened to your concrete. Concrete can be...
So let's let Tyler Lay do this narration here. You come to his channel, you subscribe if you want. He just started posting again. He's an instructor. Thanks, Tyler, for inviting me to your school.
In place and be amazing, and then all of a sudden, after about 10 to 15 years, it starts to crack. It's kind of scary. Alkali silica reaction is a fight between the cement paste and the aggregate inside your concrete. And I'm showing a picture of a cross-section of...
So you're showing that there's more likely a concrete issue there, not the steel issue. Okay, so let's look at this. The sampling is what I'm saying they need to do. Listen.
Reactive aggregates are certain types. They're called siliceous aggregates, or they contain SiO2. Now, those are natural sands or river rocks or opals, rhyolites, gray wackies.
Here's the point about the mix again. That mix design is probably the issue if the structure's design is solid. The stirrups are in place, and also everything's designed load-bearing wise correctly. Okay, so let's do a shout out to Tyler again, and here's a shout out to my own video he used in his video, and listen to what he talked about the water content.
Certain types of minerals, you can get expansive ASR. So you only need small amounts. They can be buried in with everything else of this reactive aggregates, and it will cause you horrible, horrible problems. So now let's talk about the water, the last ingredient inside ASR. And this is an epic, awesome video. And I'm going to link.
This is my video he's showing you to the left and right. Epic, awesome video. It really is. And here we are. And that was my channel there. I didn't want to get harassed anymore, so no more phone calls. Did that. Change the channel name. So there's my content, and let's go back and let's go.
Inside ASR. And this is an epic, awesome video, and I'm going to link to it below, by my friends at the Philadelphia Construction Engineering Group. And what it is it's a footing in a building, and on one side of the footing it's cracked, and the other side it's not. What's going on? Well, one side's outside where it rains, where it's exposed to the environment, and it's cracking, and the other part, it's inside and it's not cracking yet. But does this water...
So look, now let's jump back to the content now, to the narration at the building. So we're coming back to this video now, and we're going to look at the ASR, the silica reaction. Now this is a 2017 building, so this has been happening for some time, but these fractures could have developed because of what we'll just say is weak concrete. Until you figure out the design and all that is also weak. I don't see any compressing, anything crazy going on here. So, this concrete doing all these, if you map it, if you start mapping this, and you add in the ASR, the silica reaction, you're starting to get a story that's looking more like, that they need to look into this mix until you can confirm again the steel locations, the steel placements locations. Let's go.
Breaks in the beams more than 30 feet above the roof deck that force floors 18 to 21.
This is that section I said that's kind of different. There's the overhang and how they interlock the multiple beam. They get down to the column. It's interesting to say the least. Again, I think this is decorative. If it's load bearing, then well, wake up. Let's take a look at that. So if you think again of the stirrups in here, you got this cross members of steel. I should have changed colors. If you consider the rest is okay here, and you see more of these salts, then you got to start looking at the concrete mix and not the steel as their civil engineer, their expert town engineer states. I think you got to look more there. I don't see the bending that would take place, that you would see the typical something would be displaced. Some fractures here against these connections, against the wall there. I just don't see them. I don't have all the pictures, but it would be great if I had more. But let's go.
To be vacated.
It's really the roof of the building that has all the mechanical equipment, and this is just a facade for some panels that...
Facade for some panels, as I talked about. This is the panels there. They're the workers. All right, trying to figure out what's going on. So it looks like it is this one, and maybe the rest. But again, as long as it's not anchored to it, this is down to the root, distributed through beams, the load of these. Then I don't have it there. And besides, I don't see deflection in those beams. We don't see that happening. We do see that one fracture across the top there. That's interesting on its own to figure out. And other thing you don't see it is it's not identified as over here, and this is a mirror system of this one ish. This is the center line. You've got some load down here, but you've got these loads. I wonder, and you could pick on vibration if you want to, but these aren't. This is not that. If can you consider this whole thing a beam, and it tries to rotate, well, you'd have separation back here on each one of these. We don't see that separation there, although we do see it. I think it's this one right there. I might have to move it over to there. I don't know if they did multiple images on us. But then we now look at a section. We start thinking about What's it doing? Is this section, was it can't pour low? When do they pour it? Do they have a schedule of it? It was 2017. They should be able to come up with it. But these do look like this might be lighting. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Lighting. Oh, we get a closer image of that too. I'm just looking for the way to clean the windows too.
Golf this equipment.
Trevor Fisher,
He said just hose equipment.
Director for Broward County Public Works and Civil Engineer, answered questions from commissioners Tuesday.
Is if that inferior steel was used?
After consultants had built scaffolding.
He's worried that if inferior steel was used. That's definitely worth the question. Our scaffolding appears to be The scaffolding appears to be under the one area. So they seem to be picking on one section there to transfer the loads. I'm looking at the best I can. Clearly you can go through that grid system. There's some extra scaffolding down here on the left here, apparently, presentedly. These are plank boards for them to walk on. So this is the beam that they want to support. Maybe coming across. They chose to support that one. We don't have a better shot of it, so I'm only...
Just to access the beams and take a closer look.
Yeah. Yeah, they just couldn't get it in the lens.
Look.
I'm looking. That's on the other side with those other units. So this is closer to the other end of the building. The other side with the other dueling. With the other dueling side. Remember the units? These units? On the other side on the corner I pointed out.
Analysis was that the cracks were not as severe as they appeared in the photographs.
Originally, we had thought that
Their cracks are not as bad as they appeared in the photographs. All right, originally we had thought
they were more spread than they were. Now, the removal of the debris and the dust.
removal of debris and dust. It's the mayor speaking. You know, when a politician speaks, you could probably think opposite, whatever the hell he's saying.
Now is showing that the cracks are much smaller.
But what's concerning is a building built less than a decade ago would be experiencing these.
All right. So again, I guess this is what they're supporting. And they're supporting it there. You think they would give it a full support. So scaffolding out here also. Because they don't know what the issues are. All they're doing is intercepting the load off of this one and transferring it over here. So the load was coming down this column. And now depending on how tight you do it, like lifting a car up, remember the tires, depending how snug this is, you could just be intercepting it and still just creating more stress out here. It should be fully scaffolded, in my opinion. Fully scaffolded, fully supported. All the way down, multiple floors. Don't have the building in use. You know, don't put it in use. It's you know, move on for now. Delay it. They close down the whole world for a minute. They can close down this building for a minute. But they want that damn money from the people they want to lock up. This is that fracture I'm talking about right there. It presents as a fracture, a break, a line, separation. You know, when they poured these beams, apparently let's just say this is plywooded up, and this was plywooded up over here. And apparently this beam was done first, and they butted to this beam. So this one was done first, and then they butted over to it. So that means this probably had rebar sticking out through the plywood they had here. Or they plywooded the entire thing like this and then poured it. And it's like a grade beam, but it's elevated. But this is troublesome. This whole section is troublesome with a lot of moisture. All right, looking at the at this equipment, I don't see any anchorage where it's hanging from way over there. All right, it's inside this section, so there's nothing hanging from there. The steel, I don't think it's bolted up, but it is worthy of looking into to make sure that nothing's interfering or intercepting. Let's go. Are they using that? Let's go.
breaks in its concrete.
A building that 7-year-old should not be demonstrating this.
While only floors 18 and 19 had people working in them that had to be vacated, county leaders have been told the rest of the building is safe to work.
Safe.
Yeah, that's BS, right? That's Denny Pate move. Yep, you're okay. We can work on this, fix this structural problem while everybody lives inside the building. Same thing they said about the airplane crashing into the building. It's okay. Go back to work. And we know the way that both those stories end. This is not a happy ending story right now, all right? This needs to be dealt with and considered. It's unknown of what it can engulf and what it can do. So they need to support it as much as they can and start breaking this thing down. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. That concrete is probably trash. This is a nightmare forever. If you coat it, like I said, you're not going to be able to see the damage progress over time. You're coating it. I don't see anybody using any, let's say, quote, X-ray equipment to look for the steel. We don't see them core sampling. This is just smoke and mirrors presentation right now by the municipality and
These are our top priority. We want to make sure that we get our folks in there
clowns
to determine what it is and get it fixed immediately.
So what ultimately caused these cracks? Well, that was a question that was posed to the Public Works Director. He said he didn't want to speculate. For that reason, they have now hired a separate company to take another look. As we get the more...
Okay, so I'm going to bring you back to efflorescence, alkali silica reaction, concrete. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.